We are back. It's the Joe Holka Show presented by Prize Picks. What's up, everybody? It's week 14. It's the big show. How's everyone feeling? How we doing? We did cash our lineup that we made on stream last week. We made two of them, so I should say we cashed one of those. We did get on the Seattle Seahawks defense, which was great news. And then we did also make some mistakes as well. In particular, the one you guys warned me against was this Taysom Hill at 6% play. You guys were right. I was wrong, but we did get a nice cash here with our Brissett team and the Seahawks defense. You needed Seahawks defense to get there last week. So let's try and do better this week. Let's go all the way this week. There's a lot of good things to talk through for tournaments. Hopefully you guys are in a good spot so far this morning. It always feels like a nice relief getting to week 14 because after the chaos that is the Thanksgiving week, we get through all of that. We get to the point now where we get to actually get our feet set this morning and actually attack some of these matchups that are pretty strong. From a season long perspective, kind of a bummer that there's a bunch of buys this week. I can't remember if there used to be buys in week 14, but like the week before most people start the fantasy playoffs, there's some big things on the line. Christian McCaffrey's on bye. There's some other really big teams from a fantasy perspective that are on bye. So such a bummer. But how's everyone feeling? How's everyone feeling? Jeremy's in the chat. What's up, my man? How's it going? Casey Bone. What's up, guys? Catcher. What's up, Catcher? How's it going, brother? Salt River Hillbillies. Good morning, my friend. Good morning. Steven Drakes. What's up, bro? How's it going? Darren Lee. Luke's in here. What's up, Luke? How's it going, brother? Pour the bourbon and light a smoke. A little early for the bourbon, but I like the intensity. Like the intensity. Feed Ric Flair. What's up, Duke? How's it going, man? Hat on backwards in here. Johnny Max in here. What's up, guys? The Duke. What else we got? John's in here. What's up, John? Let's get those coins today. That's the idea. That is the idea. Hat on backward. I need some winners today. Down to 260 balance on DK. Hey, man, we've all deposited at some point this year. Just depends on where you're at, right? This is the time of the year, too, that if you've had a really good, start to the season, these last few weeks before the end of 2025, not tax advice, but this is kind of the week to pop off a little bit. Give some of those winnings back, or just have so many winnings that it doesn't matter if you pay taxes on it, right? Because you're in a good spot. What's up, Mikey boy? How's it going? How we doing? The good fellas in here. What's up, my man? How's it going? Derek Hill's all bricked up. What's up, man? How's it going? Dustin. FanDuel so much harder than DK today. Yeah, I've spent a little bit more time on DraftKings this week than FanDuel. FanDuel is interesting because you can get these elite quarterbacks in there. Obviously, very touchdown heavy, all that stuff. Kind of tough to get away from Josh Allen over on FanDuel this week, but Matthew Stafford obviously has been a much better FanDuel play too, but we'll get there. We're going to go position by position, build a lineup at the end, all that good stuff. Let's get into it. Let's start with the poll. Highest owned player today on DraftKings. Who's it going to be? James Cook, Kyle Pitts, Michael Wilson, Adonai Mitchell, Luther Burden, Devon Achane, or other? What do you guys think? Velveeta Cheetah in the chat. What's up, brother? How's it going? The Cheddar Prince of the Iron Range to win that millie. Hey, that would be a fun 4th of July. If you win that millie, you better still be in Evelyn on the 4th of July. We have some cheap Arizona wide receivers today. Yes, maybe we were a week early with our Jacoby Brissett stack. Very possible. Wouldn't be the first time I was a week early on something like that. Highest owned player on DraftKings. While you guys are voting on that, in terms of news, it does look like Mike Evans is pushing to play as early as next Thursday night against the Falcons. So no Mike Evans this week. We'll see what we get from Emeka Egbuka. Dalton Kincaid is planning to play this week against the Bengals. So obviously the best possible matchup for tight ends and gives you a stacking partner with Josh Allen, which is definitely positive. Chris Olave expected to play. He's kind of had this back injury that he's been working through, but looks like it's just spasms, not a huge deal there. Jaden Reed expected to play in week 14 as well. What else we got here? What we got here? I don't see a ton of else so far from a news perspective, so keep an eye on that. The Kincaid stuff was really the one that I was looking for, so good news there. Knee and hamstring injury for Kincaid, though. So the team's going to test him out during warmups before making a final call. He plans to try and play, is the exact quote that Schefter posted about 11 minutes ago. So if you guys see anything different on Kincaid while we're live, definitely let me know. Demon's asking about weather. Am I too quiet? This is as loud as the mic gets. Turn me up. Turn me up. Let's check out some weather stuff for you guys. Someone was asking about Drake London. Yes, Drake London has been ruled out. We do have some weather to talk about, though. This Cleveland game, we might have a snow game. Interesting. Not crazy wind, though. Looks around like 10 miles per hour, so I'm not super worried about that one. The one that looks a little bit worse, actually, is probably going to be this Jacksonville game. Obviously, no snow there, but a decent amount of rain. And that can definitely kind of make things a little bit sloppier. But yeah, not too worried about, like, I guess it doesn't look like there's any wind there. So we have to be pretty heavy winds to affect it. We get another snow game probably in Buffalo as well. So massive total. So that's kind of what I'm watching with some of this, right? I haven't seen a ton of wind across the weather stuff so far. That's kind of what we're focused on. Weather plus rain, typically not good. Affects the efficiency, downfield passing, all that stuff. But we want to watch the total, right? So far, let's see if we have any movement today on the Vegas total for that game, because it is by far the highest of the slate, 53 and a half. Yeah, the total's gone up, guys. So it opened at 49 and a half, and we're all the way up to 53 and a half for Bills and Bengals. So, yeah, not seeing a ton of people, at least in those markets, worried about the weather so far. Sounds like a JT day. Maybe. We'll get there. JT, very expensive. James Cook leading the way on the poll so far. Interesting. Yeah, James Cook against these Bengals. The thing I like about James Cook is he's actually been a lot more active in the passing game as well. That was kind of the knock on him for a little bit. You know, he's always a guy that can score touchdowns. Okay, let's keep this thing moving. Let's start at quarterback, though. Top quarterback play today. Price considered. This is a sub-only vote. So if you're here for the first time, make sure you hit subscribe. That's how we fight those bots a little bit. Josh Allen, Jaden Daniels. Welcome back, Jaden Daniels. Going to be at that game today. Get to watch him live. Pretty pumped about that. Matthew Stafford, Jacoby Brissett, JJ McCarthy. I'm less pumped to watch JJ McCarthy live. Trevor Lawrence, Tyrod Taylor, or other. Who do we like at quarterback, friends? Top quarterback play today. Exclamation point vote, space the number. It's week 14. Come on. You guys got me by now. Doozy, what's up, man? How's it going, man? How's your year been, bro? Good to see you. Hope things are going great, brother. Joe Burrow. Yeah, I considered adding him to the chat or to this poll. Not getting enough love. We could build a Burrow double today. I'm not opposed to that. Not opposed to that. I kind of wanted to build just one more JJ McCarthy team. Like, I think you guys are gonna have to do that with me just for fun. Come on. We've lit enough on fire with JJ McCarthy that I'm not missing at this point. I'm gonna put a Millie Maker lineup in with JJ McCarthy just to prove a point, or just to, like, peace of mind, I think is a better way to put it. We're definitely doing that. Definitely doing that. 17 votes in here. Come on. We can do better than that, friends. Over 100 people in here. What do you guys think about quarterback today? Is it just not an interesting quarterback slate? That's fair. That would be fair. That would be very fair. Building a JJ team is the definition of us insanity. That's true. That's true. Don't disagree with you. We'll do it at the very end. Why not? Prefer paying up for running backs today for some reason. Yes. I think that's going to be the preferred roster construction today is basically paying down a quarterback, paying down at a few wide receiver slots, and just getting in some of the best running backs. The running backs are very solid today at the top end. I'm with you. No Stafford love. Should I be benching him? No, I would not be benching him. No. Stafford is like, you can't call him a lock for 3 touchdowns, but man, the way they're using Devontae Adams at the goal line, the way that they're going after these records, yeah, he's a tough sit. That's for sure. I like him a little bit more on FanDuel just for that reason. Touchdowns, right? We will see. We will see. We're relatively flat at quarterback. That's interesting. Okay. Looks like we got some Josh Allen love. That's not too surprising. We'll work our way back here as we talk through stacks. But let's talk about running backs since you guys brought them up. There are some very good running backs today. Josh Jacobs, Quinshawn Judkins, James Cook again, Devon Achane, RJ Harvey, Kenneth Walker, or other. If we had to pick one, the best running back play today, price considered, who is it? What do you guys think? Who's the best sleeper today out of all the bad quarterbacks that I would take a chance on? The best sleeper out of all the bad quarterbacks. JJ McCarthy. Yeah. Yeah. Guys, Washington stinks. Their defense is horrendous. Come on. If McCarthy can't do it at home against Washington, like they've just been giving up so many big plays this year. Maybe he just goes out there and plays out of his mind. He gets out of his head, all of these things. Like there is like a scenario where that happens. They have the weapons, right? Not a lot has changed for this Vikings offense that has supported quarterbacks in the past and bad quarterbacks in the past. So that'd be my vote. Running back though, what do we like? James Cook still the best running back value, possibly. Yeah. Yep. I'd say it's a decent price, 7,800 for him. Yeah, I agree. Against Cincy, tough to argue with that. Could throw a TD against Commanders D. I would think so. I would hope so. One thing you could do is deposit $5 on prize picks and just take one interception against for JJ McCarthy. That would work. Play $5, get 50 on prize picks with code Hulk Alive. That sounds like fun. If you're against all this McCarthy stuff, turn your 5 into 50. Joe just talked me into the Washington game. We have barely started, my man. I'm not talking you into anything yet. We're just getting our feet set here, my man. Come on. I mean, I will be building a team for that game. Got to have some live sweat, right? I got to continue to punt off this Vikings money this year. Have to do it. James Cook leading the way here so far. Yeah, 32 carries last week. Crazy. Um, Obviously, he's going to be the guy that's going to continue to get a ton of volume there in a great matchup. Massive team total. Pretty big favorite in this game as well. And like I mentioned kind of at the top, his passing game involvement is really encouraging because that's like the one thing we were hoping to get a little bit more of, right? He's got at least 3 targets in 4 straight games. And it's really like just an added feather in the cap for a guy that was still getting you like 15 carries roughly in most games. But the efficiency, the big plays, it's all there. The touchdowns could skew back to Josh Allen. Who knows? That's like one of those risks you're always going to have with James Cook. I feel you, but I don't think the Bills are going to have any trouble moving the ball against the Bengals. So I think I agree with you guys. He's the top option. I think the one I may disagree a little bit. I like Josh Jacobs a little bit more than you guys. It sounds like 6,800 just feels very, very cheap for him. I know he hasn't been like super healthy at times lately, but he did get a little bit of extra time after Thanksgiving to heal up, right? So hopefully he's feeling a little bit better. 6,800 for him. Um, Green Bay needs to win, right? So I would be shocked if he doesn't get in the end zone. He's going to need to, right? Because he doesn't give you like some of the volume, I guess. Like he doesn't give you some of the volume floor as some of these other guys in this price range. So maybe that's kind of why he's at this spot. But he hasn't scored in 2 straight games, which I mean that has to be. It's been well over a year since he hasn't scored in 2 straight games. So I think he's getting in. Yeah. Who's scoring a TD on the Bengals today? Oh yeah, give me James Cook. I like that. Yeah. I do a touchdown video out there. That one went live, I think, 2 days ago. So you guys can check that out. Took some touchdown picks, touchdownpicks.com if you want all my touchdowns from my model for each and every game. Give you one of my favorite touchdown picks. Also, kind of a long shot touchdown pick. I know you guys like those. So there's a link in the description for that. Completely free. Just put your email in and you'll get it early every week. But yeah, I would say in that game, James Cook probably the most likely to score for sure. Yeah, if that's the question. Like in that Cincinnati and Buffalo game, like it's probably another great spot for Josh Allen on the ground. Both of those guys, big team total, all of that. But I do like Chase and Higgins a lot in this spot. Like if no one's gonna play the Chase Higgins double, I have some interest in that. Yeah, I kind of like that. Chase is sitting at, I wish he was like, he's sitting at around like 20% projected ownership roughly. T's at about 7. Like you guys are saying, no one's playing Burrow. It is interesting. It is somewhat interesting. I've seen dumber ideas. HN on this list, obviously, I think he has probably one of the highest ceilings on the entire slate. Again, no one kind of wants to go there, it seems like, in comparison to what I thought his ownership would be like. 20% feels like a bargain for him. No one's going to play Jonathan Taylor at 9,300. No one seems to like Bijan Robinson at 8,500 against Seattle. I think that's fair. But yeah, if I was to kind of like rank some of these running backs, I'm with you guys on James Cook at number 1 just based on the price. But yeah, Achane has to be right behind him. Yeah. On the cheaper side, RJ Harvey, I think is just way too cheap at 5,700. 5,700, RJ Harvey, Kenneth Walker, 5,600. Those guys are extremely close to me. RJ Harvey, probably a little bit more touchdown upside there. Kenneth Walker, probably a little bit more big play upside. You like the passing game involvement for Kenneth Walker. I mean, you're kind of getting almost the exact same archetype right now. So those are tough, splitting hairs on those two. Could Washington, Minnesota shoot out? Can't stop thinking about it. It could, but I have been duped before on these Vikings spots that look good on paper. I've been duped before. 0 Kenneth Walker votes is wild. I'm going to be keeping that one in the back of my mind. A lot of Quinshon Judkins love. Interesting. Yeah, those like kind of like wildcat plays around the goal line. He's going to have to get in the end zone. Really low total. But yeah, I think he's still a strong bet to get in the end zone. So I don't mind that. Let's talk wide receiver because that like if you wanted to flip the build today, like I think the popular move is still going to be, like we said, James Cook, Achane, one of like Jacobs, Harvey, something like that. We could back into these elite wide receivers. If we were to pay up for one of these elite wide receivers today, who is it? Jackson Smith and Jigba, Puka Nacua, Jamar Chase, Devontae Adams, or Justin Jefferson? What do you guys think? The high end of wide receiver today is somewhat interesting. I think most of the ceiling still is like the Achane Cook stuff, but you could make a very strong argument that JSN, Puka Nacua right there, and then a really nice price tag on Justin Jefferson. Justin Jefferson is sub 7K on DraftKings today. They're just like baiting you. Maybe they're just baiting me. What do we think? Top elite wide receiver play. If you were forced to like flip the build here, who would your first guy in be? Forced to flip the build. Who is it? The Jaden Daniels chalk is kind of interesting. I typically, as a rule, don't play quarterbacks against Flores, but that price is really nice at 6K. So I think that's the reason. It's more of a price thing there. Obviously, we would love to have all the salary in the world and just play Josh Allen today. But I think if we're trying to go on the value side, I guess it's tough just to click Jacoby Brissett at 5,700 against LA and not click Jaden Daniels against Minnesota. So I understand. Tyrod Taylor at 4,900, you save a little bit more. Trevor Lawrence at 5,400. Like the question is that $600 that you get from moving down from Jaden Daniels to Trevor Lawrence, is that super meaningful today? Maybe move all the way down to like Tyler Shuck, something like that, right? 4,600. Quarterback is really flat today. So I'm not taking like a huge stand at quarterback. You could pay up just a little bit more and get a decent amount of leverage with like Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Stafford, I suppose. But like the leverage is going to come from the combination. If you wanted to double stack Joe Burrow, I do think that will be somewhat unique with most people kind of jamming in all the Buffalo stuff, but maybe not with this massive total. That could be one that gets steamed up. My worry is tight end today. Yeah, tight end's interesting. We'll get there. Jamar Chase leading the way with the top elite play today at wide receiver. Okay, interesting. Some Jamar Chase love. Yeah, he's like the best. He's probably the best price adjusted of this. I think I'm with you guys on that. He does like shape up to be like a really strong tournament play. I think I'm with you guys there. 14 targets in his first game with Joe Burrow back. We like that. Still leads the team in targets this year. He's missed a game. Buffalo has struggled a little bit to defend opposing wide receiver ones. So we like that. They've given up some big games. Drake London had 158 against them. Stephon Diggs had 146 against them. Zay Flowers had 143 against them. Shout out Rich Rebar for that stat. They've given up some big games to elite wide receivers, number one wide receivers. Kind of interesting. Terry McLaurin gaining a lot of steam as well. I think it's probably with this Jaden Daniels hype, right? Kind of interesting. Minnesota's been really good though. That's my problem. Their defense has done their part over the last few weeks. They've done their part. Some JSN love. Puka Nacua seems like the one that's going to get forgotten on this list. Like if we're just trying to find some leverage at elite wide receiver, no one still wants to click Devontae Adams at 7,700. So like it's probably the yardage, right? Like he only has one 100-yard game since. That's not true. Completely wrong. No, okay, dating back to last year. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. One 100-yard game dating back to last year. He just scores 2 touchdowns every week, which is crazy. But yeah, I'm looking at like a 7% ownership for Devontae Adams. That seems pretty solid. At the top end of wide receiver, again, it's relatively flat because of how strong the top end of running back is. Right? We're gonna see massive ownership on Jacobs, Achane, and Cook. And then we didn't even talk about Bucky Irving at 7K. Really like him in that Tampa Bay game too. Another team that really needs to win this week. All right. The most interesting poll, probably one of the most important polls we do every single week, is this poll, the top non-elite wide receiver play today. There's a lot of names on this list. Terry McLaurin, Adonai Mitchell, Michael Wilson, Christian Watson, Luther Burden, Devon Vele, Emeka Egbuka. If you were to pick one of these non-elite wide receiver plays today, price considered, who is going to be the first guy that you have to prioritize today? Who is it? Who is it? For anyone just trickling in here, if you haven't been here most of the day, obviously Josh Allen's the top quarterback play today, in my opinion. I think if you're not going up to Josh Allen, I think a lot of people are going to go to Jaden Daniels, which I think is okay. I like the idea of like Jacoby Brissett, very easy to stack. I like the idea of paying down even further for like McCarthy, Tyrod, Shuck. I don't think this is a week where you need to separate at quarterback outside of maybe Josh Allen, but that flips your entire roster build. I want to go cheap at quarterback today, personally. Unless you're trying to go into like an elite stack with Joe Burrow on the other side, I think that's kind of a decent tournament option, but that's going to limit what you can do at running back as well. So if you're going to flip the build and play some of these expensive wide receivers, then getting up to like a Joe Burrow, I think makes some sense. Outside of that, I think the optimal, like if you're running anything through Sims this morning, it's going to lead you towards some of these really gross quarterback options. Running back in particular, a little bit easier to sift through today. Seems relatively straightforward. I think like Cook, Achane, those are the top of the top end plays. Josh Jacobs gets completely underpriced at this point. And then if you're going cheaper, it's like Judkins, Walker, Harvey, those type of things. I think it's probably that order. What do we like at wide receiver today? Landslide for Michael Wilson. Yeah, Michael Wilson is a phenomenal play yet again. 5,600 on him on DraftKings. way too cheap. 5,700 on FanDuel, also way too cheap. 15 targets in the 2 games that he has without Marvin Harrison so far. So it's really just a price thing. Obviously, the matchup is not great against LA, but if you're going to get that many targets, 15 targets 2 weeks ago, 7 last week with Harrison back in. Yeah, with Harrison back out again, he's going to go right back into probably, I don't know if he doubles his targets again, but it's not surprising to see him be like one of the highest owned players on the slate, if not the highest owned player on the slate at that price, right? There's also some situations where I guess think that it's really just the volume, but also like the price for McBride is to a point now where I don't think we have the salary this week to pay all the way up at tight end. So roster construction is just going to lead you to him in the mid range. It opens up a ton if you get him in there. So getting there, and you're saving a decent amount of salary off of like Emeka Egbuka, who's also on this list. But the salary is pretty meaningful today to move down from like 6,300 to 5,600, though I do like Emeka Egbuka a lot. Best scoring option for the Chiefs game. I do have a video for Sunday Night Football. If you check that out, I took a bunch of unders in that game personally. I think that the Texans defense is the real deal. Mahomes has struggled a little bit under pressure this year, but it just doesn't really shape up that well for anyone on the Chiefs outside of maybe Rashee Rice. So he would be my pick for a touchdown in the Chiefs game. Bowers or punt? Bowers is interesting. Seems like a lot of tight end discussion going on today. Yeah. Okay, some of these other guys, I'm always a little bit nervous going after a Packer just because of how flat the wide receiver target share typically is. But 5,200 for Christian Watson really stands out from a projection standpoint. And this one, the targets have been there for Watson recently. He just missed on what could have been a couple big plays on Thanksgiving. 10 targets last week. Obviously, 80 yards and a touchdown as well. Had that 51-yard catch. Yeah, I think he's, again, another guy that gets way overpriced. I like to live in like this mid-range at wide receiver today. And if I'm going to pay down, it's probably going to be someone with like a ton of upside. Not necessarily like one of these like floor, like slot receiver type of cheap plays. I want someone that can actually hit 20 points. So Luther Burden does feel like the best option to me on the cheapest side. 3,800 for him. Rome Odunze out. The matchup isn't that great against the Packers, and I do think that the Bears are going to continue to run the football a ton. But when he's been out there, he's been really good this year from an efficiency standpoint. So if he gets a little bit more volume, he does have the talent. It wouldn't be the first time we saw one of these rookies really start to turn things on down the stretch of his first season. Thoughts on double tight end? I liked it a little bit more last week than this week. I think you can still get there. I think the slots, the flex spot in particular, I think you're giving up a lot by not playing one of these running backs today, personally. The running backs are that strong this week to where I think you need to pick your top 3. Yeah. Devon Vele is interesting. He's kind of right there with Burden from like a projection standpoint. So I think he's fine if you wanted to pay all the way down at wide receiver. Adonai Mitchell, again, he's kind of in like a weird price point. So 4,600. I wish he was slightly cheaper, but it feels kind of like the play that just since he popped off finally last week, people are going to land on. But he's always going to get some of those deeper shots down the field, right? So he's fine on Tyrod teams, obviously, but not like he's not like my first guy in. He seems slightly overpriced, but I don't think it's the worst play in the world. You're going to live in these like cheap to mid-range wide receivers today, most likely. So yeah, I think you can still put him in your pool for sure. Like he's like, if we're just looking at the top end, Michael Wilson, I think I agree with you guys there. Christian Watson kind of in that same price range. The cheaper range is like Burden, Vele, Mitchell for the most part. Yeah. Z Chapo, thanks for subscribing, my man. Welcome in. No votes for Adonai Mitchell. No votes for Emeka Egbuka. Interesting. I think I might like Terry McLaurin a little bit more than you guys. It's kind of a price thing with him as well. 5,200. 14 targets last week. But now we get Jaden Daniels back. It is, I think, a tougher matchup than most people are kind of baking into that projection with him, but maybe we end up seeing some fireworks. I could see it. It's possible. Teams end up running a lot against the Vikings just because they're blitz. They kind of want to just avoid all this weird Flores stuff that they can throw at quarterback. So I wouldn't be surprised if they skewed a little more run heavy than usual. So I don't love the McLaurin stuff in stacks. I think that he's like a fine one off, I suppose. Let's keep this thing moving because I want to have some time to build some teams, at least 2 teams today. Tight end's hard today, in my opinion. Top tight end play: Kyle Pitts, Tyler Warren, Brock Bowers, Trey McBride, Brenton Strange, Colston Loveland, Dalton Kincaid, or other. What do you guys think? Top tight end play today. Are we scared of the Kincaid injury, or are we just going to blindly play any tight end against the Bengals? Can't fault you there. What do we think about tight end today, friends? Got any more news since we've been up here? Not seeing anything. The Steelers are not going to fire Mike Tomlin. Not seeing a ton. Tyler Warren getting some love in the chat. Okay, interesting. Zero votes for Kincaid. Do I really need to talk to you guys? Are we worried about the injury? Interesting. Okay. He leads the position this year in yards per catch. So there is upside there. And obviously the matchup is like a historically positive matchup for tight ends. In order to place your vote, you got to just do !7. Anything else after that, it will not register your vote. I love the extra context, though. You can always hit enter and then give your context. I'm worried he's a decoy. Interesting. He might just like walk into the end zone, look around, and no one's there. Like that's pretty much how they've been defending. So like even if he is a decoy, Josh Allen still might find him. Waller. I like that call. Waller feels a little bit sneaky. I think I meant to put Waller on this poll. I do like the Waller call. Live for a touchdown for sure. Wish he was 3,800. I think feels kind of reasonable. I think most people are just going to play Kyle Pitts today at 4,200. So kind of a nice pivot there. If everyone's going to play, like, if everyone's just going to play Terry McLaurin, Zach Ertz at 4,500, probably could have been on this poll as well. You'll get some nice leverage there off of Kincaid if Kincaid grabs a little bit of steam here this morning. It's kind of interesting. A lot of Tyler Warren love. Yeah, obviously really strong matchup against Jacksonville, who's been really good this year on defense, not so good against tight ends. So we talk about Cincinnati being the best matchup for tight ends. Jacksonville is definitely in the top 3. So I'm with you guys on that. My concern is the passing volume in that game across the board. Obviously, Danny Dimes battling through a fractured fibula. There's just a lot of mouths to feed there, to me. And JT is going to get his, right? So that would be my concern with Warren, personally. But I think if I was going to play one player, he's probably the guy. Yeah, from a matchup perspective, 5K as well, nice price tag. So I get it. I understand. 2 TDs against the Jets last time. Yes, I took him for a touchdown this week. He's in the touchdown video. Yep. Spoiler alert on the touchdown video. Who else did I take in that video? I'm going to check that quick. I know I took Achane and Waller in that game. Who else did we take? JSN against Atlanta. Classic bounce back spot for JSN. Really, one of the things that probably is a little bit more descriptive than predictive is kind of like these man coverage versus zone coverage little nuggets that you can get across the industry. But Jackson Smith and Jigba has absolutely destroyed cover 3 this year. The Falcons play cover 3 more than anyone. So fantastic spot for him. He might be a little bit under-owned. Achane, obviously, great spot. Second most running back touchdowns allowed. Third highest touchdown rate allowed to tight ends as well. So do like the Darren Waller and Devin Achane touchdown stuff. I did take a Justin Jefferson touchdown. Commanders, fifth most touchdowns allowed to opposing wide receiver ones. Jefferson still seeing 35% of McCarthy's pass attempts. So he's going to get fed. I just simply don't think that Washington has the personnel to stop him. We'll see if McCarthy can get him one. Kyren Williams is another one that I really like. Obviously, the stuff that's happening at the goal line is not ideal. The Devontae Adams stuff that's taken a lot of touchdowns away from Kyren, but Cardinals allow the fourth most touchdowns to running backs. So those are my top touchdown picks today. Jackson Smith and Jigba, Achane, Waller, Jefferson, and Kyren Williams. Those are the ones that went out on the video a couple days ago. All right, let's get to my favorite poll of the week. Favorite game stack. This is we're gonna put some real American dollars behind this game stack today. Cincinnati at Buffalo, 53.5 point total. LA at Arizona, 48 point total. So big gap there. Indy at Jacksonville, Seattle at Atlanta, Chicago at Green Bay, Washington at Minnesota, Pittsburgh at Baltimore, New Orleans at Tampa Bay, Miami at New York Jets. What do we like today? If we were to stack up one game on DraftKings and put some real American dollars behind it, which one should we do? What do we think? Top game stack. I don't think I'm overly worried about weather today. I think if we had to be a little bit worried about weather, like in the Cincinnati and Buffalo game, I know there's going to be some snow there. I think the total would have moved, and it's moved the other direction. So I'm not too worried about it, personally. I think this Arizona and Rams game definitely has some pace to it. New Orleans at Tampa Bay definitely has some pace to it. I think there's going to be a lot of plays on both of those games. Cincinnati and Buffalo, right there. Obviously, from an offensive perspective, the slower games that I'm a little bit concerned about, Chicago at Green Bay, Pittsburgh at Baltimore, Miami at New York Jets, those games I think will be a little bit slower, a little bit less plays overall. You kind of see that a little bit in some of the team totals, but yeah. LA at Arizona does seem to be one of the ones that looks a little bit under-owned from a ceiling perspective outside of some of the Arizona pieces that are very chalky, obviously. We get some nice ownership on the LA passing game if we wanted to go that direction. I think that's interesting. Offensive line versus defensive line stuff, definitely stuff that I care about from like a game stack perspective because it's just going to lead to a lot less efficiency if there isn't time behind the line of scrimmage. I think the Bills are going to have all the time in the world. This Bengals D line can't bring pressure. Also think that Bo Nix is kind of interesting. This Raiders D line hasn't been that great outside of Crosby, right? I think it's really just like the elite Broncos offensive line. It's still going to be like a strength. A little bit worried about Brissett, though, on the other side. I guess on the other side of the coin, Rams D line, probably a top 3 D line in the league from a pressure perspective. Cardinals offensive line, definitely below average. You can make an argument for that, obviously, against the Raiders as well. The Raiders offensive line, one of the worst of the league, if not the worst, and Broncos defensive line, very strong. Titans offensive line, horrendous. Browns defensive line, great. So like there's a lot of big mismatches today, but not stuff that we were probably targeting overall outside of maybe the Cardinals. Cincinnati Buffalo is getting a lot of the votes so far, but we got over 200 people in here. Let's try and get more than 22 votes because this is where we're going to spend our time on the lineup build. So if you're here for the first time, exclamation point vote, space the number. Let's get some more votes here. If not, I'm happy to build a Cincinnati and Buffalo team. We'll just have to figure out what the quarterback is. And then I'm going to force you guys to build a McCarthy team for me at the end. Just for fun. Come on. Just for fun. We like fun. Has the total move for the Jacksonville Indy game moved down? Pouring rain. Yeah, that is one of the ones that we're worried about for rain, for sure. And like pouring rain definitely affects the passing game. All right, we got a lot of votes for game number 1. 53.5-point total, Cincy at Buffalo. Let's close that one out. And this is, I guess, what matters. The quarterback in this game. Massive total. Why can't I type? There we go. We got Burrow and we got Allen. Little poll on the fly here for you guys. Okay. Who is our quarterback on this roster? Who is it? Burrow, exclamation point, vote 1. Allen, exclamation point, vote 2 in the chat. Who do we want? Again, if you're here for the first time, if you play $5 on Prize Picks, you can get $50 instantly when you use code HOLKALIVE. That's how I know you came here from the live stream. Would really appreciate it. Keeps the lights on. Keeps all the content free, all that good stuff. Supports the show. Get your free $50. Come on, what's wrong with you? What do we want here? We got 6 Burrow votes so far, 0 Allen. So you guys want the Burrow double, huh? That sounds fun. That sounds fun. I think we could do either. We're getting a lot of Allen votes too. I'm going to let this play out. What do we like here, friends? What do we like here? What's the defense to win the Millie? I would love to know that answer. We could just play Commanders like everyone else against JJ McCarthy. We are going to make a JJ McCarthy team, so this team could have Commanders on it. We just move on. Commanders defense is not good, but yeah, I mean, is there a more likely person to throw a pick today? Probably not. 2,800. Sign me up. Sign me up. Let's throw them in there as a placeholder on this team. No, not Titans. Commanders. All right, so we got Joe Burrow, maybe. Yeah, looks like 16 votes for Joe Burrow, 70% for Joe Burrow. Okay. I think we do the Burrow double. Why not? We have the salary to do it. So we got the Burrow double here. I think the main question here is, do we want to get James Cook on this team or Kincaid? Cook versus Kincaid, I think, is the question that we want to have here. I don't think that they correlate well. Touchdowns, right? So I think we should pick one of them, personally. This might actually be worth a poll, because this is like probably the biggest decision point on this entire roster. I am a fan of just adding the tight end to your stack. You get Kincaid coming back. You just hope he gets a touchdown. But Cook is one of the best plays on the slate. I'm with you guys. We could do some different things at running back. There's a lot of good running back plays. But I know this says quarterback. Just ignore it. Who do you want? James Cook or Kincaid? Let's get a vote for that. I think it's worth a poll. So far, we got 1 Kincaid, 1 Cook. See? It's a tough question. And they like negatively correlate aggressively. So we should pick one. More because the teams exploit the Bills' terrible run defense. We're talking about a play on the Bills, though, for this one. Why do they correlate negatively? Mostly because they're heavily influenced by touchdowns. I don't really like typically to play Kincaid or just a tight end in general with a running back on the same team, because tight end is so heavily driven by touchdowns. So like, how does this go wrong? I mean, I would play both maybe if we think they're going to score 50 points and it's going to be condensed. That's just tough. So yeah, like there's tools out there that I use that can kind of quickly show me correlations for different players and how well they correlate with each other. And that is one of the higher negative correlations we have in this game. Yeah. So like in comparison to like, if you look at some of the quarterbacks, they typically correlate well with the wide receivers. Not, Obviously, too surprising there. But if you even just look at like T. Higgins, so T. Higgins correlation, um, very high with quarterbacks, obviously, but also relatively high with tight end, Mike Gesicki. So we could just add a tight end on that side if we wanted to. Jamar Chase is mostly neutral with T. Higgins. So they can definitely still go off together in theory. We got a lot of Cook love, though. I'm on board with Cook. We can make that work. We're going to be a little bit tight on salary, but we can definitely do it. This is your guys' team. I'm going to force you to make a JJ McCarthy team at the end of this. So, like, what the least I can do is let you guys answer this. Cook and Knox. Yeah, is Kincaid just a decoy out there? That's possible. That's very possible. I don't think so, though. At least we get some yardage upside with Kincaid. Like he is a guy that has gone over 100 yards twice this year. Like it wasn't that long ago. McCarthy triple sack. We'll get there. We'll get there. Okay. Looks like we're going Cook though. I will listen to you guys. Cook's a great play. So now we're a little bit tight on salary, right? So someone give me a cheap tight end to play. Let's get start there. Who's our cheap tight end play today? We might have to go even cheaper than Kyle Pitts. Who is it? Who's our gold star GPP play tight end on the cheap side? Do we just play a Cincinnati tight end? I feel like every time I play one of these guys, they do absolutely nothing, and the other guy scores a touchdown. We got some Loveland, Strange. We got some cheap tight ends in here, though. Interesting. Should we do another poll? I feel like we're not very aligned on this. So hang on. I'm gonna make a special cheap tight end poll. We're really doing this one together, so let's do on the cheaper side. I'm gonna try and keep it to like below 4K. So Pitts is out. I think Fannin is interesting. I would say Loveland's interesting. We're seeing some Loveland people in the chat. I think that's fair. AJ Barner is extremely cheap. At least we get some tush push equity there. Did that happen just one time and then just in my brain I think about it all the time now? He's still getting usage though. Barner, put him on the cheap tight end train. He's 3,200. Parkinson, I don't think I can play these LA guys personally. Darren Waller at 3,800. Can put him on there. I don't mind that, especially because this team will not have Achane. I don't think we'll have the salary for it, so I think that's somewhat interesting. Talking about like where can we leverage some of the highest owned players? We won't have the salary for Warren, so yeah, like Achane, I don't mind the Warren call or the Waller call. I put Strange on here. Let's put Strange on here. Let's just call that. Let's call that good. These five guys. These five guys. Confirm. All right. And while this poll is going, we do have a super chat. What's up, Scotty? Thank you, my man. Pick 2, Woody Marks, Neil Hampton, half PPR. Vote on this poll for tight end, and I'm going to make sure that I check my rankings for that one. Pick 2 of those guys. Okay. Thank you for your super chat, my man. Let's see what we got here for you. We did say half PPR. That can change things. That can certainly change things. Let's see. Half PPR. That is quite the decision, my friend. We got Marks, Neal, and Hampton. Yeah, I think for me, I just need to see it with Hampton. It's going to be Marks and Neal for me. Good luck, brother. What do we want at this tight end spot? Fannin, Loveland, Barner, Waller, Strange. Flip a coin with any of these guys. It's tough, so we're going to need a touchdown. I would prefer to have a little bit of leverage. We could have, I guess, just added to this Cincinnati stack in theory. Maybe that would have made more sense. I just really struggle to decide who to play between Gesicki and Noah Fant. I guess it's Gesicki at 3,500. I could have added him to that list. The ceiling just seems low. And I think we need the touchdowns to be relatively condensed to truly get there on this double. Caleb going to get the ball quick to avoid Parsons. Fair. Okay. Bills number 1 versus tight end. We talked about that. So we already did a vote for that one. So we're playing Cook over Kincaid. Looks like Loveland. Okay. Let's get Loveland in there. All right. 5,100 the rest of the way. So we're really going to have to get tighter here. Loveland gives us a little bit of leverage off of Luther Burden. So I actually think that Burden probably shouldn't be our cheap wide receiver that we go with. So this could be a Vele team at 3,700. We're probably going to need that salary. 93 yards, 8 targets last week. I think Vele has to be on this one. We need some flexibility, and I don't necessarily want to just play another Bear on this team. At running back, the cheapest is probably Harvey that I would be comfortable with. Maybe we could just play Kenneth Walker. Kenneth Walker versus Harvey is definitely a decision. My gut was Harvey on that, though, but I think it's very close. What do you guys like between Walker and Harvey? We could probably play Judkins. It's just a little bit more like we're still. I mean, we could play both of those guys in theory. I think we might have to. We might have to play like a Harvey and a Walker. This is pretty solid. So we got the Burrow double. Burrow, Chase, Higgins, bring back with Cook. See, that really just takes a ton of our salary, right? And then we got Vele. We got a lot of chalk here, but I think it's basically a Burrow double with chalk, essentially. Are we okay with that? Jacobs gives us 4,700 in the flex. Yeah, I think this is a three running back week. I feel pretty strongly about that. The only move that we could make here is go to like an Aaron Jones at 5,300, but I think I prefer Walker and Harvey to those guys. So this is it. We've done it. All right, now we get to do the fun part. Let's make a JJ McCarthy team. Let's do it. Let's make a McCarthy team. You know what the best part about this team is? I'm going to leave Washington Commanders defense on this team because we're getting a pick 6 or something for sure. So the best part about this stack is we're going to start stacking McCarthy with the Commanders defense. Quick pick 6, just get them on the board, get them out of the way. McCarthy, we're going to add JJ to this. It's gross. I know. It's not fun. This isn't a fun team. This is the one that we have to play just to get it out of our heads. So I think the question for me after this one, if we are going to play some Minnesota stuff here, we probably want to play Aaron Jones with this. We could play Jalen Naylor. Aaron Jones versus Jalen Naylor is interesting. Naylor does have that 6-catch, 124-yard game and a touchdown with McCarthy. He's just done nothing since. Yeah, let's scratch the itch, right? What's wrong with that? Aaron Jones or Jalen Naylor, I think, is the question here for me personally. We don't have Achane on this team currently, so I may have to scratch that Achane itch. So I think we can do like an Achane Mitchell team. Just a quick mini in there. On the Washington side, are you guys opposed to some Zach Ertz? Like, if we're getting gross, we might as well just play all the gross guys, right? Hawk's pretty cheap, takes care of tight end. That's fair. It's a decent matchup for him. The Commanders have given up a lot of yards to tight ends. So I was paying attention to that. Hawkinson, he looked okay last week. League high 9.1 yards per target to tight ends. Let's throw Hawk in there. Why not? He's terrible to watch play football this year, but he is just 3,300. So I think that's fair. We got Jefferson, Hawk, and McCarthy. We're definitely not more than doubling him, so we're not playing Aaron Jones on this team. Unless we just wanted to add Naylor to it. We could do that. I don't think we really want to do that. So do we play on the other side? Who do we need to bring back? I honestly don't think we need to bring back. Commanders is our defense is our bring back. That's who's scoring all the points. Okay. We didn't get Wilson on the other team, so I think we just need to play some of the best plays here, right? Let's get some of the best plays in here. We get Wilson in here. We got a lot of room at running back. A lot of room at running back. So we could just play Cook again. I'm not opposed to just playing Cook again if we're doing team play the best plays here. What does that leave us with, though? 5,500. Aaron Jones. Doesn't get that. If we play Cook, we can't play Harvey and Walker. That's the unfortunate part. One that I haven't heard a lot of people talk about is Bucky Irving. I keep seeing Bucky Irving. We could just make this a Josh Jacobs team, though. I think that's probably what I'm going to do. 6,800. Leaves us at 65. We could get Breece Hall in here as well. We already have like kind of our Miami mini. 2 Jets. Good God. He's still getting a ton of touches, though. Correlates really well with Adonai Mitchell, believe it or not. We could just play Quinshon Judkins, who you guys keep mentioning. You guys really like Judkins, huh? Bucky looks like the sleeper. We're just getting this one out of our heads. This isn't a fun lineup. I don't want to do this. I have to do this. A lot of you guys mentioned Quinshon Judkins earlier, though. I think that's probably the one I'm leaning towards here. Take Jacobs out of here. Put Jacobs in the flex. I think Judkins is the move. I love that Wildcat stuff. It's so fun. And Tennessee is just terrible. Now, this is a roster. McCarthy, Jefferson, Hawk, no bring back outside of the Commanders' defense. Too sharp. Too sharp. We get Achane in there. We get Jacobs in there. We get Judkins in there. We get a nice little mini stack with Mitchell and Achane together. We play Michael Wilson, the most underpriced wide receiver on the slate. This is a well-constructed team. There's a ton of chalk on this team outside of our just kind of cheap stack. Jefferson, Hawkinson, McCarthy together. Bucky instead of Achane. We could do that. Could do that. But just looking purely at ceiling, why does no one want to play Achane? That's crazy to me. This one just fits a little bit too well for me, guys. So this is what we're going with. It's my $20 in the Millionaire Maker. It's my JJ McCarthy donation. All right. Cool. Appreciate you guys. Always a good time. We'll see you guys next week. I can't believe next week's week 15 already, but we'll be back here at 9 a.m. Eastern time per usual. Peace.